Call the meeting to order the Village of Oxford Downtown Development Authority, Monday, December 17th, 2018. Please rise, pay respect to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay.
Vicki, could you do roll call, please?
Nicole Ellsworth.
Excuse me, go ahead, Susan.
Okay, I'm sorry. Nicole Ellsworth. Here. Dorothy Johnston. No. Pete Schultz.
Here.
Susan Schur here. Sue Oles.
Here.
Elgin Nichols.
Here.
Rod Charles.
Here.
Joe Frost.
Here.
Thank you. Any public comment on non-agenda items? Seeing none, consent agenda?
Make a motion that we approve the consent agenda with the approval of proposed agenda, approval of the November 19th, 2018 regular meeting minutes, and the reports for the police report, code enforcement report, DPW report, executive director's report, and the revenue expense report and bank statement.
Any amount of?
Well, that would be under bills.
Okay, move down.
You want to move that as a
Nope,
second
that's
motion?
fine. That's fine.
Second.
It's been moved by Nichols. Is there support?
Support.
Been supported. Any discussion? Roll call, or no, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same thing? Motion carries. Now, payment of the bills.
I'd like to make a motion to pay the bills in the amount for December of $17,016.52.
What page are you reading that from?
On the back, expense report there.
The bill run is slightly different than what went out in your packet last week because of that invoice for road professional services.
I see, okay, all right.
A question on you real quick, Glenn. What's from Rowe for professional services for what?
For surveying and correcting the legal descriptions of the
DDA. Okay. It's been moved by Nichols.
I'll support.
Support. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ellsworth.
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
Schur, yes. Oles.
Yes.
Nichols.
Yes.
Charles.
Yes.
Frost.
Yes.
Thank you. Unfinished old business, the Blue Ivy sign grant.
Previous meeting, on the facade grant for Blue Ivy. To approve that, the work's been done. We've got in the packet a copy of the pictures of the building and a copy of the paid invoice. So we're just looking for a motion to disperse the funds.
Like make a motion then to disperse the funds as you've just noted.
Support.
Been moved by Charles, supported by Frost. Any other discussions? Roll call, please.
Ellsworth.
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
Susan Schur, yes. Oles.
Yes.
Nichols.
Yes.
Charles.
Yes.
Frost. Joe Frost.
Thank you.
Sorry.
M24 project update.
In the packet, you have a whole bunch of materials. You have actually the duplicate information size that came out in the packet and the size that you can actually read distributed tonight. Basically, this is the result of the revisions that were forced to our tax grants because of start with the rich office design guidelines. So this is the third set of revisions that we have to go through on this. Grant was awarded, continue to have funding allocation for 2020 in the amount of $617,249. That's higher than our original application was because of the changes that were made because of the SHPO restrictions. So with that higher participating costs, but less non-participating costs. So we're getting more money from MDOT for the TAP grant. And so our costs are kept down and contained to that level that we had originally budgeted for. Next week, we've got a reading. Yes.
Just questioning, how much money you're getting from the TAP grant now, as opposed to before?
We're getting 617,000 and change. Before it was 586.
And
Yes, Rod?
would you run that by me again too, Glenn? You said that the cost went up, so they gave us more money? That's what I think I heard.
The costs were shifted. We had some higher participating costs than we had originally
Okay.
forecast.
So participating is a key word. Okay.
Participating costs went up, which means it's more match for us.
Right, okay.
Non-participating, which were our out-of-pocket costs, went down. Because of changes to the streetscape, we had to go with structural soils in the tree planting areas, so that adds a significant cost.
So what is the bottom line number then that we will be responsible for?
Bottom line number would be, look at the budget sheet. Our match is $304,000.
What page are you on? Oh. I went through it today, you think I have it memorized.
We've got the broken down budget, we've got the color, all of the numbers that have changed, which are yellow, and new items that we have to put in the budget in order for this to work on orange. It's our shading, it's the grayscale.
I see it.
Thank you. Joe?
Mr. Chair, question for Glenn. Glenn, does that 304,000 include the engineering for this concept?
Yeah.
Okay. Could you explain what that anticipated cost will be? Do we know at this point?
We have a proposed agreement with Grissom Metz and AECom. They're some consultant.
Okay.
It's coming in at about 8% of the total project cost, so we're looking at about $120,000 in engineering and design costs for the entire project.
I guess I want to question how you propose to pay for the engineering costs.
That was put in the budget this year for the DDA. Our proposed budget came back a little higher because of higher engineering and design costs for the lighting throughout the length of the village. So there's an additional, right now, we're looking at between $25,000 and $40,000. We're still waiting to get a refined back from AECom with regards to the engineering for the lighting and the budget.
Okay.
Belgium?
Do you look for any other surprises as we go along here?
Right now, we've budgeted high. We're expecting costs to go down as we go forward, as we start to get the actual design components in. The budget's based on MDOT cost structures for federal allocations, so we've got to take into account what the average cost is for these federally funded projects. Midwest costs are lower. Some of our costs are going down. For example, the irrigation system, when it was originally put into the budget, was at $35,000. The amount of irrigation work that is going to be in the project has been substantially reduced because of the change in scope of the project. So we're expecting to see more cost for that. The same with furnishings and fixtures. We have to take an allocation amount for the budget, and then as we go through that process, we choose furnishings that are below that price point.
Am I to believe then that you've accounted for this within the budget?
Yes.
Okay.
Rod?
Couple of things, Glenn. Does this include the areas that you and I visited a couple of months ago?
This is only on the front side of the facade. This does not,
All front, nothing in the back?
nothing in the back.
Okay. And that's still something that you are thinking about this coming spring?
We have money in the budget for repair work on the back, and the village council just allocated some CDBG money for repairs and replacements on the back sides of the buildings on the east side. downtown.
When would you anticipate that would happen?
We're hoping to have bids in place by March, so that once the frost is out of the ground in April, we can move forward. And following up on that.
Is everyone familiar with what we're describing there? Just, why don't you share with it, Glenn? Just,
One of the things that we're looking at is sprucing up the backsides and repairing the damaged curbing and the brick surrounds and the dying vegetation and planting beds behind the four quadrants of the downtown. So there's money that's been allocated by council for sidewalk repair and tree grate repair. We've got money allocated for replacing the landscaping and replacing brick pavers in the landscaping beds. The idea is the back sides of the downtown in as good a shape as possible for the 2020 construction season when we shut down the front sides of our downtown.
Rod? Just a side note to that is, part of the discussion was knowing which property belongs to who, because I was looking at some properties and there were some areas that we found that belonged to the village didn't know they owned.
Correct.
So that was part of the reason there was a delay in some of this. And then on this sheet here, a couple things. In the past, there's been discussions about the lighting and whatnot. Give a little headline as to what we could expect out of what's going on, or what will go in downtown with lighting. That's a big chunk on this budget sheet right here.
Yes, it is. We're going with new fixtures in core downtown that are going to be similar to our existing streetscape fixtures. Limited on our choices. We could go with replication of existing or other historic. If you look in the packet, you'll see our historic exemplar of the light that we decided to go with for the purpose of keeping the costs down so that we can refurbish and reuse as many of the existing light poles as possible. So the idea is to install new ones in the downtown section, refurbish the ones in the downtown, and extend them out to the village limits.
Brad? Sorry. One of the questions in the downtown, we do this, and this, maybe Pete might have chimed in at the meetings you've been to, is the sidewalks. There's areas where you got gas lines going in from the sidewalk in some of the shops, right? A couple of it. Is that going to be addressed, do you know?
There's utility lines that have been identified that will be under MDOT review at the 80% grading and infrastructure review meeting, which will be coming up in January. They've gone through the process of identifying all the buried utilities. If you want to go look at them, I have the full schedule plans in my office. You can go through all 350 pages. But no, they've done their best to identify all of them.
There's a couple of places that have exposed lines, coming in from the sidewalk on the outside there that I'm hoping that can be addressed for a lot of reasons. When they tear up, that's the only time to do it, right?
Yes.
So
The utilities will be advised that they can make repairs and adjustments at that point. But MDOT can't force them to.
But what about sound system things? That's been discussed for a few years too, with the sound system not being, you can hardly hear anything. Is there any way of knowing what's going on with anything we can do downtown, or should be, or won't be, or whatever?
We talked about at some points doing a wireless sound system in downtown. The factor is we don't know how efficient it will be because of the sound pressure levels on M24. Ambient noise at 55 decibels would cause us to have to be pumping that music out at a relatively high level. Once everything is in place and we take a new sound decibel level, sound pressure level measurements in downtown, that may be something we can pursue. The light poles that are going in are fully capable of supporting these speakers, plus that with the power outlets built into the pole at the top.
Belgian? I actually took a dB meter, which I have, and I went downtown with it. It's pushed right into the red. So I don't know if a sound system really would work. That would be my opinion, and not, unless you eliminate some of the traffic noise. Would not function. I think it would be a bad investment.
We're not doing it at this time.
Right.
Mr. Chair, I just want to congratulate the task force and staff for the diligence here in working with Grissom Metz. I know you've been through a few versions of this because of the guidelines for SHPO. I wonder if you can speak just for a moment on the next steps for that task force committee and when you anticipate the promotion side starting, and what we may anticipate, if it's not already in the budget, budgeting for the start of the promotion of the project itself.
There is money in the budget for the promotion of the project. There is going to be more frequent task force meetings starting after the holidays.
Okay.
We're looking at starting back up on January 7th.
Okay.
And the possibility of splitting the task force into a design review group and a promotions and marketing group. Public relations. That's some people have in downtown that can contribute to the public relations aspect of it, and they have a greater concern about the design aspects of what our installation is going to be.
Absolutely. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything more, Glenn?
We've got design submissions coming up. We've sent our plans into AECom to fold into their overall plans. Those go to MDOT on the 21st. Design Review Committee, roughly 30 days after that submission, but that date hasn't been set yet.
Joe?
One more comment, Mr. Chair. For those task force meetings, I wonder if you can invite, if he doesn't already attend, and he may, Mr. Madore. One of the things council has directed Mr. Madore to do is to be more involved with the M24 project from the standpoint of the village at large. You know, the DDA and this body has done great work with the concepts and with the promotion moving forward, but, you know, our residents are going to be profoundly impacted by pass-through traffic, detours, et cetera. So if he's not already engaged, and I assume he is, please make sure that he is. And then also, and you may have already done this as well, but, you know, perhaps this is an opportunity to utilize the Main Street Oakland County Tech Visit for next year, for 2019. And you're nodding, I know you're way ahead of me on this, but there may be an opportunity for maybe some professional promotional assistance beyond the Tech Visit last year.
I've already spoken with our liaison for
Awesome.
Oxford,
Okay.
and he's getting together a list of potentials so that we can make an informed choice as to the value of that and how much it would
Okay.
cost, so
Cool,
but that's in the hopper.
thank you.
And Mr. Bedore was at the meeting this last week with us, so
Good.
up to date on. I will say today, there's all kinds of other stuff that's going on up and down 24 from like Drainer Road going north was a testing resource company, whatever, is going to like every single manhole, and they were looking at them and measuring them and grades and checking stuff. So I mean, they're surveying and stuff's going on up and down 24 on both sides of the road all the way down. So there's surveying marks all over the place, so they're out there doing their stuff, so.
So it's already been started.
The engineering aspects of
Right,
it, yep.
right.
Yep.
We have an 80% design submissions next week, so they're checking the final grades.
Yep.
You know, that would be something interesting to put out to the public, because when people hear 2020, I think we all, myself included, tend to defer in our mind.
Right.
So when Pete says they're out there today, that makes it more immediate and more concrete, no pun intended. So I think we could make some public announcement to that effect.
Good idea.
Mr. Chair.
Joe?
And to speak to Rod's point, one of the things that I think we should encourage the businesses to do early and often, now's the time as they start to plan for 2019. It's the end of 2018. They're meeting with their tax advisors for, you know, taxes this season and all that. I would encourage all of our businesses to sit down with their financial consultant or CPA, whoever they work with, and also their managers, to begin building this plan. We know that from April of 2020 till about November of 2020, that our downtown will be impacted. And I think we should encourage, and maybe we even come up with a sample plan, again, just thinking out loud of, and I don't know what that looks like exactly, but if you're a downtown business owner, you know, we know what the window is, so let's work backwards and encourage our folks to start planning ahead. Residents included, so for example, we know that certain routes are going to be inaccessible, or, it's going to be southbound traffic only. So rethinking your commute in the morning, rethinking how you get your children to school or how you get your children to daycare, and making those educated conversations in the next year, as opposed to waiting to the last minute in April. So my goal, I think, is to encourage everybody to think ahead. Not only the bodies that are the DDA, the council, the municipal side, but encourage our residents and businesses to come up with their individual plans ahead of time as well.
Good point. Rod?
I can't remember, have we had any conversations with the folks in Lapeer? Oh, because that was a big mess. That was a horrible mess in Lapeer 2 summers ago. I mean, just learn from example would be, to Joe's point.
Yeah.
So if there's some contacts we have with the folks in Lapeer, that would be something we can learn from what they went through. And nobody was happy with that. I mean, there's always somebody's gonna be unhappy, but that was a complete disaster, just trying to drive through Lapeer.
Elgin?
I believe a good contact to find out what went on over there would be Brian Coutier. He lives in Lapeer, and he knows a lot of people there that were involved with the experience. So you might want to touch base with him.
Anyone else?
I have a question, maybe, will any of the new streetscape features absorb any of the road noise? Or would it be negligible? I know there's barriers and,
We are putting in linear planters to help reflect some of the road noise.
okay,
We're also looking at planting vegetation that'll add about 2 feet of vertical height that'll help absorb and diffuse.
okay, so could the possibility be still there about the speakers?
That's what
No
I'm
trees?
Come back and evaluate
Okay,
that.
all right, okay. Thank you.
All right, nothing else, then we will move on. New business. The DDA applications for vacant board seat. So that everyone is aware, Nancy Rosenstrader has resigned from the board, so that is why there is a vacancy on the board. And this term will go through, or expires in 2020. And we have 2 applications, one from Michelle Klein and one from Susan Bizzardi. Board's pleasure, input? Elgin?
Yeah, I think with the vast amount of knowledge that Sue Basarda has, I would have a tendency to lean in that direction as a member on this board. And not only with the DDA, but I think also with the village as a whole. She has the experience that it will take to move forward with the DDA.
Joe?
Mr. Chair, I agree with you, Elgin, but where I disagree is one of the things Sue has always said is that we need to get more people involved. And so I would lean more towards Mrs. Klein. She's downtown business owner, new business owner, and I think we should get more new faces involved. And I know Sue will still be involved at the committee level, and appreciate the support and willingness to continue to be involved there.
Good point. Elgin?
With all due respect, I do understand where you're coming from on this. I felt the same also over a number of years, and I want to see more people active that own businesses downtown, certainly. So the argument's a good one. I still feel very strongly towards Sue Basarda. I know she's dedicated when she gets on a board. That would be my final opinion, but your point's well taken.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Susan, please come up to the podium, state your name.
Nancy Drew. See this area. I agree with Joe. I was prepared to come and withdraw mine in favor of Michelle tonight because I think that the board needs some new blood. I think Nancy has skin in the game, so to speak, because she
Michelle.
has a business, or Michelle, I'm sorry. However, I am disappointed that she's not here tonight to interview or say anything, so that's fine.
Thanks.
I do.
Rod?
Any reason why Michelle, did you talk with Michelle, Glenn?
She had previous conflict, is my understanding. Do you have her application?
I couldn't hear you.
She formally asked her if she could be there, and she said she wasn't sure if she could make it because she had previous conflicts.
I haven't had a chance to speak with her myself, so other than just reading the application here, I don't know anything about her. Rod?
So I guess it's Sue's experience versus the idea that we have a business owner. And we've always said we want more business
New
owners, right?
experience.
That's the balancing act to find there, right? You know, that's the conundrum.
I have a message from Michelle that says that she didn't know that she was invited, nor did she know she had to be here. She never knew about a location or a time, so she thought she had to be approved before going to a meeting.
Elgin?
Okay, I just read over her application, and she seems, I would think she would be qualified as well. Her educational background lends me to believe that there's anything here that she wouldn't be capable of handling or working with. And I think with the withdrawal of Sue Bissardet, I would, certainly, she's a good applicant, so.
Absolutely.
I still don't remove my comments about Sue Bissardet, by the way.
Recommendation? Or we put it off till January and have that lady come here?
If you want to interview her, is there any reason that they can't be put aside until next month?
That was my thought. I was just speaking to Elgin about that.
To meet
just
her,
didn't know what to do
ask her
tonight.
some questions and talk with her.
I'd like to make a motion that we table this until the next meeting so we could do an interview with Michelle Klein for the DDA position.
Support?
Set aside.
Set aside.
Set aside? Okay, thank you.
It's been moved by Nichols,
There's
supported
two
by...
chairs beside me, we could fill both of them.
You seconded that, Susan?
Yes.
Okay. To set aside the nomination for the vacant chair until the January meeting. Any other discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Two?
Why don't you do a head count?
All right. Roll call.
Do a roll call.
Well, can we discuss what would be the advantage of delaying the meeting, the vote?
I think I'd like to meet her. I'd like to know more about her, see what her demeanor is. Being in business tells me a lot right from the get-go that she's a individual that's willing to sacrifice in order to make success with everything she has in terms of finances. But I'd still like to meet her.
Okay. Ellsworth?
Yeah, I spoke with her briefly now. She said that that she would put aside the third Monday to be here in January. If you guys wanted to interview her. I do agree with the experience and how dedicated she is to Oxford. So I'm kind of on the fence on this one, I'll be honest.
We're calling for the, go ahead, Rod, real quick,
So we're saying to delay it
till January.
so
That's
Elgin
what the
can have a
motion
chance to
was.
talk with her?
All of us.
Well, you're the only one asked to do that.
Yes, but you'll be encouraged.
Okay, Schultz?
No.
Well, I have a little bit of a, maybe it would be the time for me to tell you,
If we're voting,
Yeah.
we should vote, or we
Yeah.
should discuss.
Either vote or discuss, one of them.
I think. And I get where everyone's coming from, but just for the efficiency of the meeting and so people aren't getting their vote swayed by dialogue necessarily, if we're going to vote, then I think we should vote. And to throw my 2 cents in on that too, that we have 2 candidates that have been presented. I know Mr. Pape has talked with Michelle, and ultimately, this is a recommendation to the council anyways. So if we kick it to January, then it gets kicked to February.
Understand.
okay. All right, so we're going to vote. Oh, go ahead, Pete. You want to
Tell us what we're
present
voting,
it
how to
again?
vote, I guess is,
I believe what we're voting on right now, Elgin,
Table it.
was to table it till the January meeting. So, correct?
So
Till January.
if it doesn't get tabled, we decide tonight?
If we vote yes to table, it gets set aside till January. If it
Okay.
gets voted down tonight, then the motion could come forward as far as what else you want to do.
Okay,
All right.
that makes
Elgin.
sense.
Can I make a final comment?
Last comment, then
Okay,
we'll,
when we started with 2 candidates. We have 1 candidate now that we're working with. And the question I would have is, any of you people know this lady? Have you ever met her?
Yeah,
You have? Okay, 1.
I have.
2.
I know her.
Okay, 2 out of the board.
And staff.
Well, yes, staff, but he recommended 2 people, which we had to select 1.
Right.
And we're down to 1 now. So I still would like to meet her. That'll be the last word I have to say.
all right. You doing a roll call? Go ahead and do
Yes, so
it.
you want to word it again, Pete, just so we're,
The motion was to set aside the nomination for the vacant position until
Okay.
January.
okay. Ellsworth,
Yes.
Schultz,
No.
I say no. Oles,
No.
Elgin,
Yes.
Charles,
no?
Joe.
No.
All right, motion failed. Take another try at it?
Okay,
No, I'm talking to the board here.
So that we need a motion to nominate one of these candidates. That's
Correct,
what
that
we
would be
need.
that would be the correct way to
It
do
would
it.
be to nominate and recommend. Nominate and recommend to the council president. Ultimately, according to the DDA law, if I wanted to, and I won't do this because I like you guys, but the president has the authority to appoint the DDA, the ZBA, and the planning commission. It doesn't need a recommendation from the DDA per the DDA law. But I believe that we should empower our councils and our commissions and our committees to help make those decisions. So I value your input, I value your opinions, so it would be a recommendation to that nature.
Well, with that in mind, I'll nominate, is that the right word to say?
Recommend.
Michelle
Nominate,
Klein.
recommend.
Nominate and recommend, to Joe's point, Michelle Klein.
Okay, it's been moved by Charles. I'll support that. Been moved, supported. Everybody understands the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Glenn, you will contact her and get her all filled in and apologize to her for...
And that won't be effective until our next council meeting, regular.
Correct.
When is that?
It's the second Tuesday, of January.
I will ask her to attend at that meeting so council can talk to her.
Yes, and that's where we could hold an interview of sorts, if you'd like to. And that would mean that she'd be ready to go at your January meeting and could be seated that evening.
Okay. Pete?
Yes, sir.
And Sue, when you said you wanted to make sure there was a full board member here, right? Was that your idea for being on as a candidate, not knowing that Michelle was? I'm just thinking there's going to be some more candidacies coming up.
If there is, then I'll apply again.
I was just kind of wondering about that because I didn't know if that's why you wanted to apply, knowing that Nancy wasn't able to continue. Oh,
Okay, you have in front of you the 2019 meeting schedule. If anybody knows of any conflicts on those nights. Not aware of any, otherwise then we'll take a motion to approve that.
Make a motion that we approve the DDA schedule, meeting schedule for 2019 as presented.
Support?
Then moved by Nichols, supported by Frost. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Same thing. Thank you. Executive Director's Annual Review. Myself, Sue Bizzardi, and Dorothy Johnson sat down and did the review on Glenn. Our comments are spelled out throughout the entire review. And then on the back page of it, as far as what further expectations were and the goals for the next 6 months, overall performance. Generally, overall, it was stated that we needed better communication, working with them, also working with the committees a little bit better. Also, it was empowering the committees to be able to do their things, try to encourage more involvement from the committees to hopefully get them on their feet and running and let them act as a committee and be able to function. With the stuff coming forward, the streetscape and everything else going on, would be a great time to be able to get the design committee up and the promotions committee up and functioning and let them run with it, give them the direction and let them actually promote and design. Any questions or comments? I believe on that this is a receive and file, or? Yes. Joe?
Mr. Chairman, will we be perhaps at the next meeting looking at and identifying what those goals are more broadly moving forward? You know, I don't know what the process was with the committee, but did you use for this criteria the previous set of goals, you know, and were able to check off, you know, things that had been accomplished that the board had given him, say, a year ago? Or was this kind of more?
I would say roughly we did,
Okay.
but it wasn't precise by any means or measured against anything, no. Okay.
You know, if I could make a comment on that, Pete?
Yes, please.
You know, one of the things I think helps people in general is rather than annual reviews, some periodic reviews, so there's time to adjust the sales. You know, maybe something going forward too, that, you know, formal meetings, be it monthly or quarterly, whatever else might be helpful to everybody. It doesn't have to be a formal thing like this, but it certainly helps us, just like a business would do, and say, where are we quarterly and things like that.
Absolutely. Going through the whole thing, a lot of it was, we were looking at as lack of communication, for lack of better terms. And in explaining it to him, on his part of it, there's a lot of stuff that he's working on right now already with the streetscape project, and he mentioned a lot of them tonight as far as with the utilities and the grades and so on and so forth of all the different meetings. He had a tremendous amount of meetings with the design portion of it and SHPO and everything going back and forth that we all, myself included, aren't aware of it or don't see it on a daily basis. So, he's in the office definitely doing his thing, but again, he's not out tooting his horn every day to say, hey, I called so-and-so today, or I talked to, we don't know that. So if anything from us, it was to him just to be able to, bring it forward a little bit more to say, hey, I talked to so-and-so, or this is where we are on this and that, so that we are more aware of what thing, where the status is, I guess, a better way to put it like that. So it wasn't the fact that we didn't feel he wasn't doing anything, it was just...
He didn't tell us about it.
Didn't tell us about it, yeah. Elgin?
I think you hit it on the head when you talked about communications as the area. I think greater communications with downtown businesses would be a great thing. Need to make that connection more so than what we have now, and keep that in mind.
Rod?
Elgin, what would you specifically do? That's kind of a broad brush.
I would, if there's information as far as notice information that the village is doing or the DDA is doing to improve the activities downtown, bring that to their attention. If there's ideas that they have that they want to present to the DDA with coming into the meeting, you should be the liaison, somebody that they can talk to, and you should seek it out.
Well, that's a what? How about a how?
How do you do that?
Yeah.
I think by having the enthusiastic nature to do it. Get up and go and do it.
Well, here again, be specific. That's kind of ambiguous.
Well, how would you get somebody's attention that you're trying to do good for them? And you should also working as a partnership. How do you get that information out?
But here again, those are nebulous phrases.
They're not nebulous.
I mean, you're saying to communicate with people, are you saying what?
I'm saying they need to get in their store, they need to be eye to eye.
Okay, that's different than just saying do it. That's what I was saying, be specific.
Well, to me, it's common sense stuff because I've been in, business for a long time, as you have too. You don't make any things happen until you see eye to eye, face to face, and actually discuss situations that impact them and also the DDA.
We had quadrant leaders, and maybe he could delegate, because I think at any point, maybe he isn't that outgoing, but we could be the face of the DDA while he's busy doing what the real work.
I think that's a great idea, if I might just...
So what about Friday before end of the week? Just a quick email, bullet points as what you've accomplished this week, so that we kind of know what about that idea?
And that's what I was trying to get Elgin to say, instead of something kind of nebulous and frothy, something specific.
Yeah, because then we're current
Send an
as
email
to,
out, right?
and then it doesn't go for the whole month or the whole period. It goes each week. We see what Glenn is working on.
That's what... Joe, go ahead.
Mr. Chair, I think all of these are great ideas and perhaps discussion for goals.
Right.
Let's set out the goals for the next 6 months, short term, the next year, medium term, the next 2 years, long term, and then use those as the measure moving forward. I would also encourage and challenge the board to communicate more as well. Look to the properties who are adjacent to yours and ask yourself, does the property owner, the neighbor next door, know that I'm a DDA board member? Do they know that I sit on the M24 task force or the design committee or whatever? And start to build the visibility of not only our executive director, our staff person, but of the organization as a whole, and communicate as a whole. Because sometimes the business owner next door to you may tell you something as a fellow neighbor. Michelle was able to send you a message that they may not say to a staff person, because the staff person is seen as a staff person, whereas, and that's fine, but they may be more comfortable talking to their peer as opposed to the staff person.
That's so true, Joe, because Dora and I hear it all the time.
So,
The public coming in and telling us.
So I encourage all of us to communicate more, and I know that Glenn's talent and skill set is the technical side of things, and that's okay, because that's, I believe, why we hired him moving forward towards the 724 project. That's a huge critical piece of what the downtown and what the community needs at this point. Could Glenn communicate better? Sure, but we could all communicate better.
And we all have strengths and weaknesses too. And
Exactly.
I think his strengths really are what we really need right now going into this project.
Absolutely.
So
was-
maybe he's to go and knock on doors and, act like it's just not, it's something that other people can do.
This was all of our discussion that we did at the review. I mean, the three of us discussed it, all these exact same things. One of the things that also came out of there is hopefully the webpage, Facebook, and everything is supposed to be done here, like momentarily kind of thing, really quick. And at that point, being able to roll that out and be able to start pushing information out that way on a regular, daily, weekly basis as we get going along. So that's what we're moving to. So make a motion, or excuse me, I would entertain a motion to receive and file.
I'll make a motion to receive and file.
Support.
Been moved, supported, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same thing? Thank you. No items removed from the consent agenda. Board member comments? Brandon, you're in.
I just want to tell Sue Basardi that, thank you, Sue, for all that you've done. You're a real supporter of downtown Oxford, and I just appreciate you. Glenn, thank you for having the 15-minute parking sign taken down today. One of my customers got another ticket, and she was an elderly lady. She's in her 70s, and she was in my store for 15 minutes. And I went to Glenn and I said, either those signs come down or I'm not re-signing in June, because I can't do business with people shopping in my store for 15 minutes. And I think Glenn took his screwdriver out there today. So, no, thank you, Glenn.
Very good. Nicole?
I want to thank Sue as well. I really appreciate everything that you do, and to everybody here for everything and all your time and effort towards Oxford. I hope that we can all move forward in positive light going into all this construction and all be successful.
Elgin?
I would ditto everything that she just said. I agree fully. And I also agree with Susan Scher that we had and have, I think, delegates for various districts that want to represent the DDA. I know I was one of them, and I ran into people who said, well, nobody's ever been to my business before. And I'm sure others ran into the same thing. So even though the skeleton is still there, I don't believe we're using it. And that's something that should be promoted and used, I think, in the DDA as well, that we could participate in that. And I have nothing against the individual that we just brought onto the board. I think it's great to have new blood. I've felt that too. And so I understand the comments that Joel Frost made, and I think that she'll be a good asset, on this board. That's it.
Rod?
So I'll be redundant. Sue, no one's got more experience around here than you. And then Glenn, another thank you to you too, by the way, a small issue that we've been dancing around for 3 months, and that's getting emails. So you finally got me an email that I could open.
Great.
Small potatoes, but thank you.
Joe?
First, again, I'll echo everyone's comments. Sue, thank you for your commitment to the village, and thank you for your continued service on those committees. And Glenn, thank you for all that you do. As you know, I've been in your shoes, and at times it's not an easy place to be. So thank you for all the work you've put in behind the scenes with the M24 project, the conversation with SHPO. As a preservationist, I've had many conversations with SHPO as well, and those are equally difficult. Thank you to all of you and your continued support. Just please be thinking in the next year how we can, as an organization and as a community, really foster that all hands on deck experience that is going to be required of us to move this community forward with the M24 project. I firmly believe that the M24 project will be the pivotal project of our era. The last time, from my understanding, that it's been completely rebuilt, reconstructed, was back in the 1920s. There are still, tracks down the middle of the road. So this is sort of a once-in-a-lifetime, once-in-a-century opportunity for our little village. And I think it's going to launch us into the 21st century. So I'd like to thank the board, too. Many years back, when I was still the DDA director here, I made a recommendation that we put $110,000 back. And there was a couple looks from the board, and why are we doing this? This may or may not happen, and, maybe some head scratching. But ultimately, this board made the decision that it was wise to do that ahead of time. So while the public may see a project that has been in the works the last, 6 months or a year, this body has been involved in this project for the last 3.5 years at one level or another. And so I thank each and every one of you for your continued support on that. And with that, I could talk all night because obviously I'm passionate about this, but I won't. Thank you for the opportunity to serve on this board. Thank you for the community. And Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year's. We're moving into a brand new year, 2019. It's kind of hard to believe we're 19 years into the 21st century already, but looking forward to moving forward with all of you guys. Thank you.
Susan?
Thank you, Sue. I really recognize everything that you've done. And Glenn, excuse me, I think it's what your strong suit is, that I believe you're really thorough. And I know how much you've done toward this streetscape and the technical knowledge that you bring. And sometimes you're not tooting your own horn. Maybe that's the problem, but I'd rather see somebody that really gets the job done. So I appreciate that. What your strengths are. I would also like to announce that I am moving, so this will be my last day as well. So I'm moving close to my children. So.
You should have told us that earlier.
I was going to say, now we can't say
Well,
goodbye.
I
Say thank you,
almost
Judy.
did. But I had a very good experience on the board, and I enjoyed working with all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you, Susan, for all your effort that you've put forward.
thank you.
Sue, thank you for all your time, and I still expect to see you sitting next to you on some of the committees, and we look forward to that. I don't know if anybody recognized it today in the Oakland Press. There was a big article in there from Mishta making his nomination to the historical thing, whatever, for Oxford Downtown District. It's on the second page of the Oakland Press. So, article about that big in there of the whole thing into the thing.
Really?
Is that official? We're listed, or we're close, or
Been submitted.
submitted?
Every time I get that paper, I wonder why I still pay for that subscription.
Right there. That's what it's.
It's like all the news you want to read that was 4 days
I
old.
want to wish everybody happy holidays. It's a time to be with family, the time to be with community, enjoy yourselves, be ready for the next year. We've got a huge, big year ahead of us getting ready to go, and Elgin has a redo.
Yes, I would like a redo. First time ever received a thank you from Glenn Pape for the soup and sweet stroll. Thank you very much, Glenn. It's very nice. I told him I've got it on my wall now in a frame. I also would like to recognize Dora in the audience here. I think Ron is probably looking down. Dora Londo, glad to see you here. Thank you very much for coming. Merry Christmas to everyone. Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Any public comment? Motion to adjourn?
Make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll support.
All in favor?
Aye.
You-